no, I know it's not changed much in. I know it's not changed much in the States, but here in the UK, the retirement age keeps going up and up and up. I think you're going to have to actually be in a coffin before you can get your pension the way it's going. But as the retirement age goes up, it means we're going to be working later in life. And so we're going to have to change because people may not have as much time to go to certainly midweek meetings and things where people were able to do that in the past. So it probably is the same message. It's just that the pace is what needs to change. How quickly we do that change, how quickly we bring in those new whatever it is, that we don't spend 20 years talking about it like the digital magazine, that we spend 6 months getting the job done. So that's kind of the culture that we're trying to bring in. But it's not a thing that you can change overnight, as I'm sure you all appreciate. So, but I am here. The reason that I am here to say hello is really to give you guys the opportunity to, quiz me, speak to me, meet me, ask me questions, tell me what's rubbish, tell me what's good, without destroying your entire meeting for the day. And you have a very big list that you can't see because of Zoom, but I have a very big list here of divisions, and I think you are Division 19 since the 1st of January that I've had the pleasure of spending some time with. So I appreciate you letting me come and say hello.
Gordy, something that we've done in the last year and a half that we're kind of proud of, if you go to YouTube and do a search for Capital, that's with an AL, Division, NCR, NMRA, you'll see there's about 20 postings on that of clinics that we've had in the last year. And it's a wide range of eclectic subjects, but there's a lot of good stuff there.
I'm searching. Oh, got you. Okay, there you go. I'll subscribe. I will have a. I see Bill Neal there has done you a clinic.
Yep. Oh, his two clinics were amazing as far as how many people have found those and looked at them. He's got, I think one of them's over 4,000 hits.
Yeah, there's one here, 5,500 views. Yeah, that's great. And that just shows, I think that demonstrates the reach of this, the people are out there. I think if there's one thing I've learned during the past 2 years, it's that the organization, there's no reason anymore why the organization can't be more global in terms of who comes to your division meeting to give a clinic. I'm happy to come and give you a clinic in the future. Have clinics ready to go. And also, how people can interact and work on projects collaboratively together. So we're looking at something at the moment. I've started, because too many people keep leaking things. I've started calling project, and it's probably me that's responsible for half them leaks actually. But anyway, because I get too excited. But I've started a project that's code name is Ethel. Ethels were steam heat vehicles on the West Highland line in Scotland. If anyone's wondering what an Ethel is, and that's looking at a new communication tool for NMRA members. It's not a forum where people can come in and do text, voice, and video chat, and also work collaboratively on projects across division, across region, across the globe. But it is not Facebook and it is not Twitter, because we don't want other people to be controlling the conversation. We want the NMRA to be controlling the conversation. And I am particularly annoyed that I can't put HO on Facebook anymore without getting a 30-day prison sentence. So we are working on stuff like that. And and also looking at how the NMRA revamps its education. How can we use and leverage this technology similar with the way that you have done, similarly that NMRAX has done, so that we can reach more people? Because it's nice, you guys, active, great division doing things, but there are 150 divisions in the NMRA in the US alone, and I can't sit here and say 150 of those are meeting on a regular basis. Pre-COVID, never mind post-COVID or during the middle of COVID. So we've got to find a way that no matter where you are in the US, if you join the NMRA and you've got an internet connection, I suppose there are those weird places where you have no internet in America, isn't there, where you've got like some kind of national radio antenna things. But if you're anywhere else and you've got the internet, which is most places, you should be able to receive the same level of support in your hobby as anybody else, and that's what we're trying to do. That's a national thing to do. But in the meantime, we know, I know that we need to pass down to division level the level support, to help you keep doing what you're doing, and that's something that we're looking at. So yeah, but I do, that's great. And I'm on your YouTube thing now. I've just subscribed, so you've now got an extra subscriber. So I will go and have a look at some of the clinics. I might grab a few people for NMRAX out of it. But, thanks, Terry, for letting me know about that.
Hey, Gordy, if I can, it interests me that you wanted to take this position. And when I heard are you actually on an island?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm on an island.
I would be interested in just a short bio of you. Your interest in the hobby and where you've come from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So currently, I do live on an island. I live on a 3.5 square mile island in a place called Orkney. I'll start saying terms until people all nod and go, I know where that is, because you're not going to have a clue. It's like me saying the capital division is in this part of Michigan. I actually know exactly where you are because I looked on your website. But I live on a little island. It's off the north coast of Scotland. We're on the shores of Scapa Flow. So Scapa Flow is on one side of the island, the naval anchorage, and on the other side is the North Sea. And on the other side of Scapa Flow from us, about 12 miles across the water, is the inlet into Scapa Flow from the Atlantic side, so the North Atlantic. So we get a bit windswept, we get battered, but that's where I live. There are no trains here, and there are 400 other families, other people that share this little island that we live on. So it's quite nice. There's one other NMRA member, which is a godsend, because of course, if there was 2 other NMRA members, that would make 3 of us. And that would mean, Andy, that we have to have 2 model railroad clubs. Okay. So we are very lucky that there's only just 2 of us. So my background, I was born into model railroading. I guess that's the best way to put it. My father had a business where we made etched brass kits in O-scale 2 rail for steam locomotives of British prototype and passenger cars. And all of his models were pre-British Railways, so pre-World War II. A lot of the stuff that we worked on was actually pre the turn of the last century, so 1890s locos, etc. And as a youngster, I think I went to my first train show when I was about 4 years old and was put on the booth selling the models at 4 years old. Child labor, it was allowed back then, I suppose, in the 90s. Like, that was such a long time ago. So I grew up with that. And then when I was a teenager, my dad needed to go and do on call. He was a port health officer for the Port of Manchester, which runs from Liverpool into Manchester. There's a navigable ship canal. You guys understand that. There's plenty of canals up there with the Great Lakes. And we would have the Manchester liners, remember those, and things coming out of the Great Lakes and getting across to Manchester, and my dad would be working on those. So he would be on call at weekends. So his friend, who was actually a postie, took me to things at the weekend, and he had an interest in North American prototype, so he took me along to my local NMRA division, because in the UK the NMRA is a little bit different. It's focused on North American prototype modeling. There are lots of other groups for German stuff, French stuff, British stuff. In fact, the British get very tribal because there's so many different railway companies that have all over time merged together that people get very tribal. In fact, it's so tribal in the UK that if a certain railroad or British railway company is the focus of a particular layout at a train show, people won't even look at it because it's not the thing that they model. That's how tribal people are. But he took me to my NMRA division, and what was great for me is that there I was able to, I was just accepted. I was only 13, 14 at the time, but I was just accepted, and I had not a clue. Everybody knew who my dad was. It's like one of them things when you're the son of someone that's in the business, so to speak, you can't really hide. And everybody knew who my dad was. Everybody knew my dad hated North American trains because he thought I should be modeling British stuff, and I should be making the box of 200 brass kits that he had for me, even at 13, when I didn't know one end of a soldering iron from another. But he felt I should be doing that. Didn't spend any time time teaching me that, but these guys thought it was hilarious to encourage me as much as possible to get into North American train. So I can remember, you know, they were really looking after me, teaching me about putting KD couplings on, different types of KD couplings, all the basics. And that really was a foundation for me of what the NMRA should be all about. So wind things forward, I went into the military at 16. I did 4 years. I went through Britannia Royal Naval College at Dartmouth. If anyone's familiar, it's Annapolis to you guys in the States would be the equivalent. Went through Britannia Royal Naval College. I was the youngest person in 55 years to pass out of Britannia Royal Naval College at the time that I passed out. Unfortunately, I got injured. I had to leave the service and went into hospitals, and I was a hospital manager for just short of 10 years. That's about 9 years. I was a hospital manager. I worked from the bottom to the top of the chain kind of thing. I worked into senior management. Left that to go and work for US healthcare, doing revenue protection software. So making sure that your insurance company paid for your healthcare rather than putting the bill on you after you left hospital. That's the kind of software that I worked in. Did that for 4.5 years, did a lot of traveling to the States. That's how a lot of people in the NMRA got to meet me. It was good because the company was paying for me to go rail fanning. Oh, I did some work at the same time, but I got to pick my own hotels, so you can imagine what that was like. My colleagues hated me arranging the hotels, and sometimes we'd have separate hotels because mine would be next to the tracks. But anyway, I did that for 4.5 years, and then my wife and myself moved back to, well, she's from Orkney, so we moved back to Orkney, and we've been here since 2019. And now, in terms of modeling, I'm back at the hospital, by the way. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, I suppose, you know, military or hospital, something happens that impacts your friends, you want to go back and help them, right? So in October of last year, because I wasn't busy enough doing this, I went back to work in the hospital. So I'm back on the senior management team of the hospital in Orkney, working in information security and data protection, HIPAA stuff and all that for you guys. It's slightly different here. And so modeling interests, I've got a bit of everything. So I've got some British O scale. I still work on a layout with my father. He's got a 40-foot by 20-foot double deck O scale layout, British prototype. Obviously, everything on there is kit built. If you asked Frank, the AP manager, everything on there he would class as scratch built because it's all from brass sheet. None of it is ready to run. They just don't do ready to run for what he models. So everything on there is constructed, effectively scratch built, and there's about 4 or 5 of us that have built models to go onto there. I'm going down actually in a few weeks' time. For COVID, I've not been able to work on it, but we worked on that together. He's got absolute block on that layout. So the lever frame for the passenger station has 100 levers. The next tower along will be 40, 50 levers, and then et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. It's a lot of interlocking and a lot of work, and that's how British stuff is. It's a full absolute block. And then from my North American stuff, I've got N scale, a model, southeastern Wisconsin. Sorry, apologize. I know I should probably model Michigan, but an ex-girlfriend from a wee while ago before I met my wife particularly liked getting drunk, and she wanted to go to Milwaukee because she realized that the Miller Coors brewery was such quality product that they couldn't get a liquor license, so they gave it away. So she wanted to go to Milwaukee, and I said we had to go rail fanning, and the rest is history. And I also have some HO Fremo modules. And I do, I have them, and it's all based on an Appalachian coal mining branch line. Basically, it's all Western Maryland and Chesapeake and Ohio stuff, and a few. There's a couple of shays and climaxes and stuff that run on those modules, but they're set up in my main train room. But because they're modular, I can take them down, and my N scale layout's got a Fremo N connector on it as well. So it's got a fixed 4 decks fixed in an 8 by. It's about 12 by 9 space on 4 levels with a Fremo module connection fixed to the layout at the end of a Y. So you can, if friends come to visit Orkney in the future when they're allowed to, they'll be able to connect into it. So I do quite a lot. And last year I got my MMR, so I'm MMR 680. And I think that is that's me from beginning to end. if that was helpful.
No, it was very interesting. I was wondering that. It sounds like, well, you got away from the island quite a bit, and that's what really got your model railroading going.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, being able to travel to the US helped, not least because it gives you the opportunity to buy detailed parts without getting destroyed by the tax man. So suitcases full of parts and stuff. But yeah, no, it really helped my interest. But it was actually before I started working for that company where I was doing a lot more traveling to the States. I was traveling about 1 week every month. It's getting to the point where I was getting secondaried when I went through customs. You've been here a lot. What are you doing? That my interest really, and it developed from there. Was from traveling. And the problem that I've got is I'm a bit like, I see a shiny new thing every time I go to the States. I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool. But so what I have a bad, nasty habit of doing now is jumping onto a track planning software and then doing an entire plan off something that I've seen. And then I'm happy. My interest is satisfied. I've done the track plan. Anyone else wants to build that way out, there you go. There's a plan for it in whatever scale I fancied doing it in. But yeah, it's been useful. I think it's interesting and it's different. Of course, a lot of people were concerned that this lunatic who's only 34, although I do have a bit of grey hair coming, he's only 34, he's going to be leading the organization from this little tiny island in Orkney. But given the technology and stuff, it's really not been a problem. I think I'm probably much better connected than the presidents of 20 years ago were to the membership around the whole world, not just in the US. Be it certainly, I don't know many presidents that have managed to make it to 18, 19 division meetings in 6 weeks, in the past, even if they lived in the States. So the world has changed, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, Zoom really helped you out.
Yeah, not just Zoom, other things as well, but yeah, it has really helped being people moving to hybrid and stuff. So give you a rundown of today, and anyone could have done this. It's not just not just getting doors open because I'm the president. But last night I was with last night I had a project meeting for the digital publications meeting with people in the States and the UK. Then I went to meet with the James River division in the Mid-East region, and at midnight my time. And then at 2 a.m, I had a meeting about Project Ethel that we talked about. And then this morning or this afternoon my time, I met with the Nutmeg division in Connecticut and Southern Massachusetts. And then I am with then I was with the Cowcatcher division, one of the LSR. Then I'm with you guys, and then I'm off to a division in the SDR later. And then I've got a project meeting with education department after that. So it's very busy. We're very connected.
Oh, that's great.
So.
Does anybody else have questions for Gordy? Or Gordy, do you have questions for us?
I don't really have questions for you. It's more for you to tell me things and give me feedback. One thing I probably forgot to mention earlier that I should do is, if you haven't registered already for the NMRA website, please do so before April, because that'll be where you go to access the digital magazine. And as the NMRA will also be launching a mobile app in April, which will be going into the App Store, and it'll enable you to read the NMRA magazine. It will use your login for the website. So everyone who isn't registered, all you need to register is your membership number. And I just encourage you to register. There's what was it? I said 15,700 members. There's only about 4,500 that are registered on the website. So that number's going up rapidly, but I just need to encourage people to do that as much as possible. Because we need to be able to give you the magazine. If we don't know, we need to be able to keep the magazine there and let people access it. But I think that's it. If anyone wants to be part of the testing of the digital magazine, then just drop me an email, president@nmra.org, and I will add you to the list of testers, and you can get early access. The only thing I ask in return is I want 3 lines: the good, the bad, and the really ugly. And if I get those 3 lines answered, I'm happy. That's my only payback. But you'll get access to the stuff as early as possible, so you can give us some initial feedback. And
yeah, it's really great that you could join us. I found it very very enlightening that the president would take time to do that, and so thanks much. I have a question,
That's
Are you
okay.
guys going to try to host the national meetings in England again on the British Isles?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think it's something that we would be in a position to do at this point, because there are a lot of sore people as a result of what happened with Birmingham. So I'm not sure I would have support now, but I'm not ruling it out in the future. People were very excited about hosting the national in the UK. I think it's a very good place to have it. I think there are better places than Birmingham. I'm sure there are better places than certain places in the US to host a convention. There's certainly better places than Birmingham in the UK, but we will look at it. There's a lot of anniversaries, etc., coming up here soon, that we may be able to put a team together around it. But more and more people actually, Steve, keep coming over to the British Region Convention. We get about a dozen people from the US come to the British Region Convention, and because of Zoom and other stuff, people come. You can sign up now to be a member of the British region, and people come along to our morning chats, which are about 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. But people come and chat and take part. So I do hope there will be a national in the UK. I just really think I'm going to struggle for the next few years to even get people to be feeling safe to travel to certain parts of the United States to have a convention in the United States. So we've got to just be cognizant of the fact that we need the world to be people feel a bit more comfortable in their own shoes, like they used to do, because everyone was quite happy to come to Birmingham in 2019, and then obviously the world fell in. But yeah, I'm not ruling it out. There's the anniversary. It's just anyone ever heard of Stockton and Darlington Railway? It's the first steam passenger railway in the world. Its anniversary is in 2025. It's 200 years of that since then, and it'll be 200 years of the Rainhill Trials and the Liverpool-Manchester Railway in 2029. So I'm not ruling it out. I think we'd probably spin it around a major anniversary, just because the likelihood is around a major anniversary there'll be other things going on. But this year, because I'm not busy enough, I'm organising the British Region Convention. If anybody wants to travel over, you can get cheap flights from Chicago, cheaper from Detroit, but that's your own risk. And we are at Crewe. Crewe is a railway station that has 7 junctions that join it. There are 8 locomotive maintenance facilities around Crewe, and there is a museum where one of our divisions meets underneath of an interlocking tower, and we're holding it at the museum that's got the advanced passenger train and other live steam 1-to-1 scale locomotives there. And it's not the busiest place in the UK, but there are 750 train movements a day past the convention site. So we'll be holding it in Crewe in November. So,
quick question. The website you want us to register on, is that the regular NMRA.org?
it is correct, yeah.
Okay, so all right, I'm already there.
Yeah, if you're already there, great. That's fine. That's all good. And if anyone has any problems, it may sound like I outsourced the IT department management to Africa, but Speed is actually might be Namibian, but Speed lives in Texas and he's a graduate of MIT. So the IT team will help you. We recruited some new volunteers to the IT team, so they have a support team, and just fill in the web form to say I'm struggling, and they'll help. They might even call you to help. So, but I will leave you alone if there was no more questions. If anybody does want to ask me questions anytime, you can email me, president@nmra.org, even if it's just to quash a horrible rumor. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if I don't get back to you in 72 hours, I want you to email me again, because sometimes I miss things. I get that many emails. So I generally try to respond to people within 24 to 48 hours if I can. But sometimes I'll read an email at 2 o'clock in the morning while I'm feeding my son, who is 8 months old, and I'll forget to reply. If I don't flag the email, I'll forget when I wake back up in the morning to go to work. I've forgotten. So
Well, very good. Gordy, I can't tell you how impressed I am with you and what you're doing. And I just want to thank you for it. It's great getting new blood, and it's really cool getting someone from halfway around the world. I think, maybe not quite that far, but I think it's really neat. Get away from the local politics and go worldwide politics.
Well, I try to avoid the politics.
Yeah, I know.
It's more about, yeah, we're trying to avoid the politics, but no, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you giving me the time and sharing the invite to come along and just quickly say hello. I hope that you're seeing a change. I hope that you're feeling it. I appreciate that probably some of the things that come out of my mouth are the things that have been said for years, but I know that there's something in the post to everyone that's going to set the tone. Just know when that renewal notice arrives and you look at what's on the back of it, that it's got my name written all over it. And I'm sure you may not agree with what it says, but I think you'll understand the reason why I've done it. So look out for your membership renewal notice in the post. But yeah, I hope you feel the changes, you see the changes, and if anybody wants to come in and help at National, it's not all politics. I could tell you where to root yourself around the politics if necessary, so you can join a team that doesn't get political. Some policy team, avoid it. Just avoid it like the plague. It's written all over it, isn't it? But if you want to come in and help with education, help with comms, help with marketing, help with IT, share your skills and time, be very grateful for anything that people are able to do. Well, thanks, Andy. Thanks, Terry, and all of you.
Well, thank you for spending time with us, Gordy. Hope you come back sometime.
I will. Just keep sending me invites and I'll turn up when I can. I promise.
Okay, we got you on our mailing list.
Yeah, just keep sending me the invites, and if I can make it, I'll make it. So
very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Sorry, I'll leave you to your eating. Thank you. Bye.
Man, I was very impressed, guys.
I was too.
Yeah,
it sounds like
nice.
he's got a pretty good handle on, issues and things that need to be dealt with. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't cover what he does in his spare time.
Well, I
Does
know
he
actually.
does he have a real job? That's the other question.
I was having computer problems, and so I didn't know if it was locking up for everybody, or was there a frozen screen a lot? Okay, that was in my computer. I was having some problems. Now, is he the
new president?
The new president. Now, was he coming from England or
he's
speaking from England, or is he in the US?
Scotland?
Yeah,
Yes.
he lives just north of Scotland.
He's at Scapa Flow, where the Kaiser Marine Fleet was scuttled by the Germans after World War I.
Interesting. Yeah, but nobody else had a problem about screen freezing up. Now,
David, you may want to look at your computer and see what else you have open. Shut down everything except for the Zoom.
Well, I unplugged my router and browser and but I've been having problem lately, and I've been thinking maybe I need to replace my my router, but who knows? Anyway.
Well, if there's somebody else in the house watching 4K movies on a screen somewhere, that might explain it too. It's overloading your router.
Yeah, no, but I've been having problems with having to connect a lot anyway.
Kevin, that would only be David's cat, if that was
right. Yeah.
Maybe the cat is watching the screen.
Videos on YouTube,
and he only listens to TV the programs I watch. So.
A couple grandkids in the house can take all the bandwidth you got.
Now mice might have a problem in my house, but
well, let's see.
Hey, Andy, you realize you got 2 cameras on?
Yeah. The is going to be walking around the layout room.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll go smoothly. Why don't we hit each of the officers to see if anybody's got something before we go on? I don't have anything right offhand. Terry, do you?
Yeah, when we get started, Andy's going to use his cell phone to take out. He's got some equipment to make it a little smoother. but if everybody would mute at that time, if you have a question or a comment or something, feel free to unmute and to say what you want to say whenever, but then mute back. It'll just make it a little bit smoother. As far as anything other than just that, no, I don't have anything to say.
Okay, thanks. Mark, you had a bit of an exciting week.
Yeah, I got to spend a week at the Hotel McLaren over in Lansing, and the service was excellent. And as far as I know, I'm in good shape. The only downside right now is that they won't let me drive for a couple of weeks, and it was a bummer. But when I got into the car yesterday with my wife to bring me home, I realized I had really limited neck movement. And they're concerned in driving that you'll be jerking your head around and open up the stitches in my neck. So that's a frustration because I do like to drive and I do a lot of it, but I got lined up for people getting me around to where I need to go. So anyhow, I may have more time here to do stuff. I got a couple of articles I'm writing for other publications, and I'll go back and finish up what was supposed to be the February newsletter, and that will come out for the March one. But and maybe get down and get a little modeling done, but that will, other than that, I seem to be in good shape.
Okay, yeah, when you get the rest of that beard taken care of, you're gonna look pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay, Ron.
Nope, all set, Andy, thanks.
All right, and Craig, Terry sent on to me, I think, and to Mark, but I forwarded to Craig. Pictures look like they used to have cookouts or something. Looks at a picnic area from back in the 90s. Some of Herm Bushnell, some of the others. I didn't look at them very long, but it was some of our old members. I don't know if it would interest you guys, but just to let you know, Craig's got it. And did you put it on the website, Craig, or you just kept it for future use?
Just keeping them for future right now. If it's something we want to put on the website, I can do that too.
Yeah.
I think we met a few times at the Potter Park Zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it might have been. So, while we're thinking of it, if you guys have pictures from the days of old you'd like to send to Craig, just, that has some of our past members or some of the people here now that were a little younger, might be fun just to have that for hysterical purposes, whatever. So, okay. Craig, did I ask you if you had anything for us? The website or anything?
No, not right now.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have anything for the group before we carry on?
Some of you folks heard this earlier, but I just want you to know that what Andy is going to try to do now, we did successfully the last 2 days in a row. So it did work in the past. Okay.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
That means it's definitely going to go down then today.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to hit the old boys room real quick. I'll be right back, just so I'm not, old men sometimes have this problem, and I want to forego that problem. I'll be right back.
Yeah, don't take your phone with you.
That's like we joke when we have the.
They went in through your neck to get to that?
Yeah, they cut through the neck and, cleaned it out.
Huh.
Everything. So
I'm surprised it wasn't one of those, rotor-rootings from your groin or your, wrist.
that was an option, but I think they decided with that one, they can better, I think, control that the plaque doesn't get away from them.
Okay.
And that way. So, they didn't give me the option, but, I don't even play a doctor on TV, so let them do it. But it was interesting when I went into the emergency room Monday afternoon. It started getting really, really crowded, and they started bringing ambulances over from Sparrow because they're out of beds in both hospitals, and apparently they were looking, McLaren would have them freed up sooner. And then people were coming over to the McLaren emergency room because it was only a 3 or 4 hour wait, and it was an 8-hour wait at Sparrow. And apparently much busier than it is during the weekend. And Monday's a busy day because everybody decides to come in and for their emergency stuff. So, but they got me a bed about 2:30 in the morning and stuff. So, and everything. And so, yeah, like I say, it wasn't my plan for the week, but it beats not having caught the thing. As I say, it was much better that I drove over than got carried in an ambulance or worse. So, but
It must have been a shock when he's sending you directly to emergency.
well, I had that before, back around 2007, right after I'd retired. In spring, I'd started doing yard work,
Mhm.
and arm gave me a little trouble. I figured, well, yeah, I've not been doing this over the winter, but yeah, I had an appointment with my regular doctor and mentioned it, and he sent me right over to the cardiologist, and I was in the hospital the next day for them to take a look in the morning, and that afternoon they put the stents in. So yeah, I've been lucky in paying attention and catching that stuff before it did really bad things to me.
Yeah, well,
And apparently there's 3 cut. Well, I don't smoke, and when I did, it was just cigars and pipes for a few years around college. But smoking would be one, diet's another, age and genetics. And I think the age and genetics was the major thing, because my mom had issues with this. So, but we're back to, if it tastes good, you can't eat it.
yeah, we've known that for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, okay, what I'll do is, first of all, what I'm doing today is going to go on our website. So I'm trying to do it as such for people that don't know the railroad. Some of you know the railroad really well. Some of you have been here to visit and that. So I'm kind of trying to hit a happy medium so people can understand what I designed and why I designed it, and then give a tour of the actual railroad and cover the, well, from one end to the other. So I'm going to go to share screen for a minute here. And let's see, PowerPoint. Okay, now it's being recorded now, isn't it, Terry?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. All right, so I thought I'd start off to give you an idea of what the railroad's all about. And the Nashville Road is the Chicago, Nashville. It's the Chicago's Indianapolis, Nashville, and Southern. I hardly ever use that title. But it goes from Chicago and Detroit up by the Great Lakes to Indianapolis. And then it goes down through Louisville. Bowling Green is the staging point, the north end of the railroad. And this box right here is the modeled portion, and it's expanded so you can see all the locations in it. Then the south end of the railroad is Columbia, Tennessee. And then the railroad continues on Birmingham, Alabama, down to the Gulf, New Orleans. So we do model from Bowling Green to Columbia, and all the traffic is either going to be the B&O coming from the north, has trackage rights into Nashville from Louisville. And the Rock Island comes from Memphis on its own trackage to Columbia. And then from Columbia into Nashville, it runs on Nashville Road trackage. So all the trackage on this railroad is basically, or on the layout, is basically Nashville Road. The Ribo Yard is owned by Rock Island and Bowling Green. It's an interchange yard in Nashville. You'll see that. And we've got some staging for NC St. Louis, the LNN, and the Tennessee Central. They have a little bit of trackage of theirs, but they enter Nashville Road track to get anywhere. So that's basically what it is. And it's 3 decks. The lower deck starts Bowling Green and it gets to right at this point, and now you've climbed to the middle deck. Middle deck goes through the city, and Oak Hill here, it starts climbing up to the upper deck and ends up at Columbia, the upper deck. So I'll go from there. Let me stop share. And here's where I've got to, let's see, share. We'll go down to camera. And all right, I've got the same problem here from before. Let me, you remember, Terry, how we took care of this?
Was the button at the upper left side?
Okay, I'm hitting that first. Okay, now
Yep.
I'll go to chair.
That worked.
Okay, good. Now you get to see my ginger snaps too, so we know that's working. Okay, so I'm gonna do my best to walk slowly. I've got, well, let's see, you can't, well, you can see it if you look at my personal picture up there. You can see I've got a long shaft below the camera and then the gimbal. And I don't know if you can actually see, can you see that up in the corner, Terry?
No, I can't. Well,
On your screen, it's,
all,
you know,
all I have right now is I can see the what's coming through your camera, and I don't.
Oh, I
actually
see.
have-
Okay, well, we won't worry about this then. I'll well, I'm going to walk you through to the layout room. Right here is the work area, and you can see the workbench that Tim and Craig made for me, and also the airbrush station that Craig has made for me. Craig and Tim, mainly Craig made this, and Tim and Craig have been installing it. And it's set up so we can remove it and get the whole bench open. The rest of the room, I'll just go around slow. It's pretty messy. I've got a lot of stuff to put away yet, but you can see basically all the woodwork, the floor, everything is done. We
Hey,
got
Andy,
yeah.
if you want to show people the gimbal, you can just walk over to a mirror.
Oh, good point. Yeah, let me do that and just see how that works. I'll go into the bathroom here.
Make sure it's empty.
There. Okay, so good point there, Ron. So this will allow me to set this on the layout, and you're looking down on the track, and that's what it'll give you a little bit better view of what we're looking at. It would have been nice to have some trains running, but I'm by myself, and the track really needs to be cleaned up. Needs quite a bit of work. So, but now I think what I'll do is I'll walk around to the far point and show you the one end of the railroad, and then just kind of walk you through setting the camera down at places. So just kind of live with this and hope it's not too jerky. You can see we got carpeting in here. Ron and I worked on the carpet and got that all down. Okay, I'm going to drop down here now. I'm probably going to have to hold it by hand. And you can see the staging. You're going to find Nashville Road trains, B&O, and the Nashville Road, a lot of that equipment has not been painted yet. So that's where it starts. And rather than take you through the helix and everything, I'll walk you back around to the side where the track comes out of the helix. And you can see down below the track that will be the second part of staging, and we're not using it yet. Okay, the track you have here is the double track main coming out of the helix. And that comes around let me follow the camera around here. It does go into a tunnel and it comes out on this end here. and it goes around the end of the peninsula. And I will take you around there to show you the first town we come into. The track behind is part of the L&N staging track, the reversing loop. Terry, while we're doing this, if you see things that would make it better, make it easier, speak up, okay? Because this is going to, we're going to be stuck with what I do. So if I can do it better, I would prefer to do that.
Yeah, the only comment I would make, Andy, is to try as much as possible to set the camera down and let it stabilize.
Yeah. I needed to go from one end to the other there a couple of times. So now here I put the extended post on it, so I can't set her down. So I'm showing you the first town, Guthrie. We're at one end. Tell you what, I'm going to hold this here and take this post off. And that might make it a little easier for me to.
You're actually doing a pretty good job holding it steady.
Well, thanks.
That's true. It's not bad.
I'm messing around with a little bit here, getting the bottom on, so you're going to be. Okay, now I got the legs on. I'll go ahead and set her down here. Let's see how that works.
That's good.
Okay, so I'll move it down a little bit, but I've got industries along here in the town of Guthrie, and I have a local switcher that's assigned to Guthrie. And I'll show you where the traffic, the inbound and outbound traffic for Guthrie, how that works. And it's really tight getting this camera out from under the overhead. Now I'm going to move it up here a little bit more, and I'll stick her back in here. Okay, so I'll speak up because the microphone's on the camera. This track that you can see against the fascia is the track that's set up for delivery, or I should say set off and pickup from the mainline trains. And I've got the card boxes here for the traffic coming in and going out that the switcher uses when he goes to work. So a northbound train will make a set off and a pickup, and the southbound train will make a set off and a pickup each day. And it's basically a one track yard track, and they set them off in blocks. Northbound trains will pick up the block that it's this end, and the southbound train will pick up the cars that are at that end. Also, just up, I think you can see the signal, the green signals that show up, Terry.
Well,
It's a little too, okay, it's a little too far down.
Yeah.
Anyways, you have a double track main up to this town. Having to walk around my dog also. Okay, this is about the end of it. And you can see I don't have many buildings here that are completed. I've got stand-ins and whatever I could find. Let me pan down a little bit. Okay, this track that's right here is the L&N staging. That way takes you into L&N staging. And there's two tracks for the L&N trains. One goes to Gresham Yard, which is Nashville Road, and one goes to the Rock Island B&O Yard. They run each day. So they get on to the Nashville Road trackage right here. And this is also the point where you go from double track main to single track main. And I believe this engine is in the picture, Tennessee Central. And this was an engine that Carl Scribner did in remembrance of Al Alan Godfrey, and he even has his name on it, the Alan Godfrey specials, which we keep for the Tennessee Central. And he comes across here and he's got his own track that goes into 2 towns and then an interchange. And then he comes back and goes back into staging. And by the way, if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this, just stop me and ask. Okay, I'm going to bring this out. I should also point out that that signal right in front of us there is the first train order signal on the railroad. You get your orders coming out of staging, and then this is the first one, and you can see the green signal, and we can throw that to red if we have new orders for you. It's also a registration station, so you can see the register right here.
Andy, just a question on back when you were giving the list of the towns on your railroad between Indianapolis and Nashville, are all those actual town names, or are some of those fictional town names?
It's all fictional. There's a good story to one of them. It turned out the towns along here, Guthrie, Adams, Cedar Hill, Springfield. I just picked those. Cedar Hill was one I picked because it was L&N and they had a lot of pictures at Cedar Hill. But the rest of them are family names, and it turned out that they're actually on the L&N. I think it was the L&N main line going northwest. The train or the towns were in a different order, but there was a Guthrie, there was an Adams with an S, where mine is my grandson, just Adam. There's Springfield and Cedar Hill. All 4 towns were on this same main line with those names, just in a different order. And I had no idea when I created it. You're asking about the names, though. One thing I could point out, I have to hold it here. Let's see if I can get my camera to hold still. This is a placard for the town giving you all the industries and their spot numbers and such. And that you have those for every town, and that allows you to, service the industries. It helps point out the industries and the spots the cars are sent to. Okay, the track comes around, it loops back there, and it comes out in the next town of Adam. And Adam, I'll just set this up. We have this industry here. And we've got mills here and some other industries. Again, the buildings I've got here are just for use right now. So we've got buildings, they're not going to stay here. And apparently I hit something on my gimbal. And this is looking, one thing I should point out also, on this railroad, doesn't matter where you're at, you're always looking west, looking at the railroad. So south is always to your left and north is always to your right, regardless of where you're at on the railroad. And you can see a local, I'll point it out, local here has come in to switch. There's maybe 12.5 cars, maybe not quite that. Tennessee Central switches out the industries that are on the fascia side, and the Nashville Road comes in and switches out other certain industries. This track right here is the Tennessee Central track, and it goes out past that way. They can both use it, but that going that direction off to the left, behind the camera, is the branch line Tennessee Central uses to get into Adam. Okay, there's more industry here. And you can see the single track main. Now, it goes across a nice bridge here. This bridge was given to me by a friend from Indiana. And the interesting thing is right above this bridge, and I'll just point it out, is the railroad station that is a model of the Indianapolis Union Station, which was also given to me by some model railroaders in Indianapolis. The gentleman that built it had passed away. They had no place for it. And it was on a layout in the actual Union Station in Indianapolis. So we'll go down here, and these cars sitting here are on the interchange track, both sides of the main. These interchange tracks are used between the Tennessee Central and the Nashville Road. So they're used to deliver cars and pick up cars from the Tennessee Central. Passing siding is the first passing siding after leaving the double track main. And we have an industry that will be going up here. I've just laid track in, but have to get the track in place. Springfield, another train order station. And like I say, passing siding. You see, we ballast some stuff, and other has to be ballast yet, not completed. Should point out the phone system also. We've got these phones throughout the railroad. I think about 11 phones that are shared by different locations. Train goes around behind the desk. This is Ron St. Laurent's desk. This is where he does all his maintenance on the locomotives. Keeps the fleet running. Okay, now we come into Cedar Hill, and I will go ahead and set this down. Excuse me. So Cedar Hill, a local switcher switches out the industries. We have, this is a long lead that the local or the yard switcher can use to switch out cars down in the yard. And I'll bring it down a little further so you can see a little bit more here.
Your associate really likes to hang with you, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's Ivy. Say hi.
That's Ivy. Okay.
Oh, yeah, she's in her, there we go. I'm not allowed to come downstairs without the dogs. Okay, so this gives you a little bit more of a view of the yard. The station's right there, train order signal, several classification tracks, refueling, old coaling tower, no longer used. It's all just diesels here now. And out of this yard, I'll go a little bit further. Out of this yard, we have several trains that originate. I got to play with the gimbal there as I'm getting it. Several trains originate. They go out to the some of the towns that we were just discussing and just looking at. Plus, there's another local goes the other direction, and we have a big gravel pit operation down here. You see some of the gravel is out, been classified and ready to be sent on its way. The play with the gimbal just a bit here. So you can see the hoppers all being loaded up the gravel pit. We've got quite a bit of equipment here, but this scene is far from being finished. Then on the other side, we have well, let me set the camera down here a little ways. So this is a hickory paper mill. And we're going to have buildings all along the back and buildings in that area. Plus the pulpwood cars come into these two tracks and unload. Right now, we just got plastic pulpwood loads sitting there. And then behind the camera,
Andy, what's the vintage of that engine house that we were just seeing?
oh, that is the old Revell engine
Yep.
house.
That's what I was wondering.
I pick up a bunch of those anytime I see them, with the idea of tearing them apart and using the walls for buildings. So I've got several of them. I love the detail on them. They're pretty cool. But you know, this one's pretty ratty looking, but it'll work for something.
Terry, those first came out about 1958.
Yep.
Right.
I was
Yep.
in 6th or 7th grade when I started in HO.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that, and I had a that's where I fell in love with the Rock Island. I had a Rock Island F7 for a Revell. So here we have, you're going to have buildings here and here, and that's all outbound pulpwood loads. And then continue to have buildings kind of working around the backside over towards the other area of the inbound product. Also, I can point out, you've got train order signal with station, and this track right here is the beginning of the branch line to Hunter. So the train would just head off down around the bend. Again, I'll move the camera on. Here also is a little hard to see. Right there is the signal for CTC plugs in. There's another one right here, and they haven't been finished off, scenic or anything, but this is where CTC will start. So it's dark territory up to this point, and this is the last train order signal until we get to the north end of town.
Now, is this is double track main here?
No, this is a single track with a passing siding. The outside track is super elevation. The inside track, the passing siding, has no elevation. And let me see what I can do with the camera here. It's kind of tight quarters, so I can't do much.
That track to the right.
We're doing some electrical work up above. So, pardon me?
The track to the back, that track there is one of the branch lines, right?
Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm just pointing to it now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
that
the
one.
branch line. And this is the main and the passing siding. And right up here, as you see, there's no scenery at all. But the branch line comes out from under the main here. And there's the main. And the main goes up not too far, and it disappears into a tunnel, and then it's out of view as it climbs to the next level. Okay, right here, this branch line, this is Sam Hill, and I just pulled the switch out, and I'm rebuilding the switch. Here, I'll show you some other switches that I just got through rebuilding. The branch line continues on up and goes underneath the layout right here, just underneath this peninsula. And then you can see, you have to excuse my mess here, but the local train you can see here on the branch line. And this is the famous town of Anderwent. And there's Wentworth Incorporated. There's a site, not a siding, but a spur here for industries and team track. And here's the other switch that was removed and being rebuilt. I'll get up around the corner, and we're going into the town of Hunter, and that's at the end of the branch line. And here's the first switch that I had rebuilt and reinstalled.
Andy, how many turntables do you have? Do you have 3?
I've actually got two turntables. The one I was going to install here, I'm going to fill that hole. There won't be a turntable. But this town is the end of the line. It used to be the main line continued on off to the left here. But we've cut the main line or the branch line at this town. So at the far end of this, at the end of the branch line, is one of the pulpwood operators. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on the larger stick to get some elevation.
Hi, Andy, this is working great. I think this is going to be fine for doing your clinic for the new tracks, folks.
Oh, okay, good. It's really nice having some experience because you never know. Let me just. I'll pan it down a little bit. Okay, so the runaround track, which was a passing siding in its day, the runaround track is what the switcher uses to get from one end of the cars to the other to actually deliver them. The station, there's no train order signal here, but I talked to Jack Ozanich about how best to control this rather than train orders. He said, put the whole thing under yard limits, or you have special orders where the trains just operate at a certain speed. So if another train happens to be coming the other way, an extra or something, they can stop in time. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do, whether it's write orders or just let them. That's their track. Nobody else can be in on the branch line when they're out. We can go somewhere along but at this time, I'm still considering the options. Okay, right here now, take a minute. You can see the greenery. This is, well, you can see right close here. This is the quilt batting. And I thought I would try this for this scene. And what I did was glue the quilt batting down, just using white glue. Then I painted the base brown. You can see it here. And then I used the acrylic paints like Pete and Chris Lyon does, Pete Magoon, and that he taught us how to use those. And I just kind of jabbed that into the quilt batting, and I thought it came out pretty nice considering it's just a base. From there, we'll add more, bushes, trees, greenery, but this is a nice base to start from. And if you look close, you can see down here, you can see brown still in it. So you can see some of the dirt below it in that. And just real quickly, this is something I did, you'll see it a little bit later, but this is something that I did earlier. The backdrop painting itself, and then more quilt batting on a little bit of a hill. Trees and everything else will be set in there before it's done. But it gives you a good base, just a base of scenery. The sedimentary rock that I've just started messing with here, we'll see how that works out. I tried using what Kevin did, but it turned out this stuff doesn't, it stays soft. It doesn't harden. So I might have to peel this out and put something else in there. But it carves easy, which is a good thing. So looking from this end now, I'll set this up on its legs. And here again, okay, so you can look down the road a little bit at the trackage, town, and the switching we have here. This is really a nice job because you're off on your own. You don't have to worry about anybody else. Just go do your work. and then head back to the yard when you're done. And comes out of Cedar Hill Yard, the yard we talked about. Okay, now I'm going to walk on back down here. You have to excuse any jerking motion. So I showed you earlier the double track, or the passing siding in Maine, climbing up here
Mhm.
and crossing the branch line right here. Then it disappears and it goes up and it continues its climb. So what we're going to do is come over here where it comes back out onto the layout. And it comes out right down there out of the wall. It actually circles the furnace to give it enough room to length to climb. And then this is it here. Now this track will be under CTC when we're done. Right now we're not. And there's train orders. You can see again the train order signal right here. It's showing green right now. And then we go to double track main at this point, and we keep double track main all the way through the city. And at the other end of the city, we go back to single track passing sidings, dark territory. But this will all be CTC. The track you see in front takes you down to the Madison switching, industrial switching area. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is getting into North Gresham. North Gresham right now is, not many buildings are up. I've just thrown some stuff up there, so we've got it. But this is the north end of the town or the city of Nashville. Now here is the North Gresham interlocking or junction, if you want. And these tracks will take you down, the one closest to the fascia right here, will take you into Gresham Yard. In Gresham Yard, you can see 2 leads going down at this point. And here's the L&N train ready to, the transfer train ready to depart and head back to the L&N staging. This day, he didn't have any cars to pick up, just cars to set off. Okay, so the main line stays at elevation and continues down the back. And what I'm going to do is set this down for a minute right here. Okay, so we're going to talk about this yard here. This is part of Gresham Yard, and it's the local yard. So any cars that come into the Gresham Yard that will be delivered locally to Nashville industries or customers, those cars will be classified into this yard. And each track, each location has a track, and so you'll just keep filling up that track with the cars going to that location. And then when the local trains are made up, the switchers are made up to deliver the cars, they can just pull all those cars out, put a caboose on it. The crew comes with their engine, gets on the front of the train, and then they go do their thing. When those trains come back, all those are outbound. Pardon me?
Oh.
Somebody have a question?
Forgot I had my open mic.
Oh, okay. All right, so when those trains come back, they will go onto one of the arrival departure tracks in the main yard, and those cars will be classified in the main yard that we'll see next. Okay, so we can see the double track main in the back. We've got 3 arrival departure tracks right here. So any trains coming in or departing will normally depart from one of these tracks or arrive to one of these tracks, either northbound or southbound. It doesn't matter. Now the 4th track is the thoroughfare track. This track gets you from one end of the railroad or the yard to the other. So It allows traffic to get back and forth from either end of the yard. You've got a caboose track, what they like to call King's Row. And also, I'll speak up a little. We've got 6 classification tracks here. So the classification tracks are where you build your outbound mainline trains that are going to depart the area. Okay, right here, these first 2 tracks are what the local yard uses to switch. So when cars are delivered to the local yard from the inbound trains that are being classified down at that end, then those cars will be placed on one of these 2 tracks. The local yard switcher can run down with the open track, get on the backside and come up and classify those cars into the trains that he's building. Okay, this is the other end of the yard. This is where the majority of the inbound trains that need to be classified, they'll be classified from this lead right here, this ladder track. And the cars will all go into, you might have a track for cars going to Ribo Yard, a track for southbound cars, for northbound cars, for the L&N. You just classify all those cars out into those tracks, and then the trains are built from there. You can either put a caboose on the cars right as they sit in the track, or you can move them over to the arrival departure. Normally, we have 2 guys working together on the inbound classification stuff. Get a little further down here, and now we're looking at the engine facilities. And we've got these 2 tracks are for the inbound locomotives, the steam engines, and they're coaled up, fueled up. They drop their ashes, and they can go into the roundhouse. When they come out, they can come out on these 2 if they have to be finished off, and the coal chutes aren't completed here, but they have to be topped off, then they can top them off on this track. But these are your outbound tracks. All the steam locomotives work from Nashville down to Birmingham. It's what we consider the last bastion of steam on the Nashville Road. And these engines right now are not all painted for Nashville Road, but they will be. And they come in, or I should say they go out facing to the left, to the south. And when they come back, they're facing north. So they'll back in like this engine did. And then he'll be placed on the turntable and placed wherever he's going to be set. A lot of the buildings aren't completed here. John Young has been painting buildings for me, which I appreciate. This one here, I ended up dropping a tool on here when I was working up above, and I've got to do some maintenance on it. Here you'll see the diesels. I'm going to have to hold this because I can't get this camera underneath the overhead. The diesels that are either being serviced down here in these 2 tracks, or ready to go out to be to be assigned to a job. The engines are sitting here. Later on, we will have a hostler that will actually work the diesels when they come in, and the steam engines, and we'll also prep the engines going out. So, but this is where all the diesels will be located. Again, nothing much painted in our road colors yet. I can point out one engine. And that is what the Nashville Road, and here again, it's not a very good picture, but that's what the Nashville Road paint scheme will look like.
So Delaware and Hudson's going to disappear and become a Nashville then, or?
Yeah, all of them, Santa Fe, the DNH, DM&IR, CNW, they'll all be at this, Nashville Road Power. The only ones that won't be will be Milwaukee Road and the L&N, since they are both co-owners of the Nashville Road in the storyline. Okay, we're in downtown industrial district, and there'll be buildings all along here. This is going to be a power station set right here by these cars. So full trains of coal would be brought in, and there's a couple of tracks for storage, freight car storage until it's needed. Another industry will be right here. Again, no buildings yet. But one thing I should point out, the main line is right against the fascia. You can see the main line. And just behind the camera here, I'll turn it around. This is South Gresham. And right here is where two tracks go to the left. And those two tracks will go into the passenger station. And then the main, the double track main continues on. Down here is the LCL Freight House. There will be a building on this side, and it'll hold 28 freight cars. And there'll be some other buildings in this area. Right here, coming into the passenger station, we do have our Tofsy Yard trail around flat car, 4 tracks. 2 tracks are Nashville Road and 2 tracks are Rock Island B&O. A large post office operation right here and right there. They'll handle a lot of head-end traffic. And let me put this. Now there's the tracks into the passenger station. This is a thoroughfare track, allows you to get from one end of the passenger station to the other. And then you've got, let's see, 7 actual tracks that you can have passenger trains come in, and are through tracks. The double track main in the background or against the back wall will be hidden behind buildings. They'll be about 6 feet, actually it'll be a little more than 6 feet under cover. I have 3 of these sheds, and there'll be 2 at one end and a third one at the other. The passenger station, when it's complete, will have roads down both sides of it, and the background will all be downtown flats. The upper deck that you can see will be hidden behind the flats. And I'll take it from this end down here. Here are the controls for the switches, the Armstrong controls. And all the switches at this side of the station have been rebuilt. I handmade this double crossover, and these are Atlas number 8s that have all been rebuilt. I'll get this. Now let me back it up just a little bit. You can see the track work a little better.
Andy, can I just ask a little question?
Sure.
Yeah, where you had the what the tower or whatever there with the switch controls in it, how are you going to finish those? Is that going to be open from the back when you get a roof on it?
It's just going to be open so I can reach in and control it.
Yeah, like, but a roof on it and
have a roof on it.
Yeah.
But you can see the flow of the tracks. And up here are the car cards. Those are the car card boxes that we'll have for all the trains. Then around the bend here, these two tracks right here are the leads into the passenger station. And I should point out that REA building, or the REA, will use these 4 tracks, and you can see the one goes all the way back there to the station, and that's all going to be multi-story REA building. So again, the main line will be hidden until it gets out to somewhere in this area here. Then this, where these buildings are sitting, make an adjustment there. Where these buildings are sitting is going to be additional downtown area. No industries to be switched or anything. The double track main is, you can see it to the back in front of the buildings. These are the coach yard tracks. This is the track that's run through to the old roundhouse that they used to use for the passenger station when they ran steam. And they can now, I'll bring it around, they can service diesels here. This track will be for sand, fuel, and such. And the diesels can be brought up here, refueled, then put back on their train. Okay, now we're just about halfway through the run. And here you can see the tracks going back on out towards the main line. These are leads going into the Rock Island B&O engine facilities, roundhouse. The turntable and roundhouse will be right here. You can see not much done to that. And here is the engine facility for the diesels. And what I'll do is, let me go down a little bit here and then I'll set this down. Okay, I think trying to figure out how, I keep hitting this button accidentally. There we go. Okay, so this is engine maintenance. The storage tracks for the engines ready to go. You can put 3 sets of ABAs in here. I see one ran off the end of the track. Also, you've got more here. I don't think these show up in the camera as well. These are the servicing tracks. This is where fuel, sand, and such for both the Rock Island and the B&O, and then the engines are just set somewhere. There's really too many engines here now for the amount of traffic, so some of this power is going to be removed. Right here is the caboose track and the yard office. It's a building I'm using for the yard office, but I kind of like it, so I think it will stay here. And then you can see a coal train in the back. It's on one of the 2 AD tracks, arrival departure tracks. There now, I hear background noises. Someone got their mic on? Okay, so here is the classification yard for the Ribo yard. You've got a thoroughfare track, which is right here. It goes from one end to the other. Then you've got 2 arrival departure tracks, and then you've got your double track main. And you can see these are nice and long, so you can put quite a long, you can build quite a long train on these. In front, at the other end here now, we have the South Ribo industrial area. And these buildings are just stand-in buildings. Someone gave me some of these old paper buildings. I just threw them up there. But I need to put all new buildings up in here. And there's several industries, which makes for a nice switching job. So at the back, you can see the double track main, and then you can still see these are two switch leads. So what's nice is they can use this track here for a switch lead and leave this one open. And this allows them to use other trains to get down to South Ribo without tying, I should say South Nashville, without tying up the switcher, doing the the switching on this at this end of the classification yard. Okay, the track slowly climbs, the main line does, and the other slowly descends. So now you go under this bridge. This takes you to South Nashville, this to an industry. And then you have the double track main above it and river. A little bit of a view there. All that rock has to be pulled out because I have to use sedimentary rock, and this is granite type stuff you find more in the mountains than that. Okay, another industry sits here. The building's not here right now. Well, as a matter of fact, here's the building right here. We've been doing some work on this track and been moving stuff around. Okay, you go through a tunnel right here, and it takes you out into South Nashville. The main line ends, a double track ends right here. And this is where you go back into single track passing sidings, and you can see the signal right here, train order signal. Main line continues around and it'll start its climb to the upper deck. This is quite messy here. We've been doing some work, and this is kind of where we leave everything sit. So on the backside here, this is coming into South Nashville. And there's quite a bit of switching here at South Nashville, but like I say, it's kind of messy because I got all this stuff sitting here. The main line, I should point out, climbs across these other tracks, and they just slowly climb up until they get just around the bend here. And at this point, they go on to an elevated track. And there'll be buildings all down the backside, and you can see vehicles. It's going to be a road there. And then on this side are industries that are served just by these tracks. And the truck docks will be on the back underneath the elevated track, and the trains will service it at this end. So they go on over and into the furnace room, and they come out up above there, right in that corner. We'll go over there in a minute. Okay, down here, the hopper cars, where the power plant will be. These are empties, so they've been unloaded, and they'll be taken out of here as a loaded train will replace them. I hope I'm not making anybody sick.
Yeah, it does kind of tend to bounce, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
smooth.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard keeping everything exact. It's there's no place to set it down, and I've only got a few words and then move on. Is the only reason that I've not been setting it down.
I think the framing is a trade-off of having a nice clear image, and it's worth the trade-off.
Yeah, well, thanks. Okay, so this is a single track main. again with passing sidings up around the bend. You'll see the next passing siding. It'll be a pulpwood operation right here.
We're on the third deck now, right?
Yes, yep, we sure are. Coming around the bend. One thing, if I can go back, I forgot to point out, when coming into North Gresham, just before we go into Gresham Yard, the building's gone right now, but John Young is painting it for me. It mounts, it goes on the backside of these cars, and that's a produce company. Then around here is a Ford Motor Company, and the building will go all the way around the backside and down the wall to the furnace room. It'll be a very large, long building. So that is a fair amount of work for a switcher. Okay, up here where these buildings are sitting is going to be a charcoal industry at this time. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to put that in. And you can see here now is the passing siding. I had to keep the switches open, clear of ballast, because they're going to be rebuilt. I've got to remove them, rebuild them, and then reinstall them. Don't know if I still can't. Well, let's see. I can go here. I don't know if it's really worthwhile doing it. So anyways, this is the town of Cassidy. And you can see again, train order signal. See my fancy bus I keep here with my Cadillac. Oh, and my ambulance. We had that ambulance set aside for Mark just in case.
Andy, that station, was that a kit or?
Oh, you know what? I should point that out. Sean Bilsma made this for me. It's a kit, a bars mill kit.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
So it's
branch
on the
line.
market now?
Branch line kit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Branch Line's still around selling kits or not. But it's a really nice station.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. I like that roof line.
Yeah, it like I say, very detailed. And if you look down here, I had this building already, and he took the colors from this and went to, I don't know, Home Depot, one of those, and got little jars of paint to match the color, and regular paint, and then he thinned it all out and painted it. But he did a beautiful job on it.
Yeah, interesting.
I really like it. I'm really happy with what he did. So I'm not going to.
Is there a year that your layout is, or?
Yes, well, there's going to be 2 years, 1956, and we're working on a 1969 version. So this is, I should point this out a little bit. This is where I used some more of the quilt batting, and you can see I haven't ballasted the track through here, but I played around with some hills, just small rolling hills, and got the backdrop painted and such. So the train, you can see the train, but it's kind of, if I put her down here close to our eye level, the track is hidden. You can't see it from our level.
Andy, do you live with a quilter?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. She's been really helpful.
Yeah, I hope. Okay, she let you get into her stash then.
Oh, well, we went to the store and I got 50% off. It's always 50% off. But when quilt batting was on sale, big roll, I bought that.
Yeah, that's the only way to buy it.
Yeah. So this is the town of Brentwood. And again, not a whole lot done. One of the things that we finished up not too long ago that I was working on, I was happy to get done, was the fascia in this area, but also well, let me raise this a little bit. There we go. The upper deck. That was
How high is that anyway?
Pardon me?
How high is that up there?
It's right around my eye level. I think it's somewhere 60, 61 inches.
Okay.
Um,
That station looked like one of the generic kits we used to get, but you changed the roof on it.
which one? The
The
gray
one you
one?
just went back, the gray one you just went by.
That's a Walters kit. As a matter of fact, I gave it to one of my friends, and he just put it together for me. But it came just like that.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, this now is to the point I can paint the backdrop and, you know, put some scenery up here. As you can see, it's pretty narrow, but you just need it to be able to come around the end of the peninsula. How long have we been going on this, Terry?
Let's see, about an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
Holy cow. Okay. Well, I'll get her done as quick as I can. You're probably getting tired. So this is Franklin Junction. And as you can see here, this is a track that goes into 2 tracks of staging for NC St. Louis and also a passing siding. And I'll just show you and there's that station again. So you can see the 2 tracks hidden behind the view block, the hill. And you can see the main line and the passing siding. Here again, I'll try and go slow, because I know this can kind of get to you. I was watching a video on YouTube, and they were using, what do they call those? Brain fart. The little four-bladed
Oh,
things with a
drone?
camera on it.
Yeah, drone.
What's that?
drone.
Drone. There you go. Thank you. Man, I was getting sick watching this video on this big screen with this drone going all over the place. Okay, here you can see the quilt batting minus the greenery, but it doesn't look too bad. Now over here is next town of Ian Grove. And I did a little work. I still have to fill in the parking lot down there. But I did a little work. It's going to be a road that goes up and behind the hill. A little more scenery and scale houses.
Yep.
And here's some quilt batting just glued down, but not painted. And that's some of the other sedimentary rock that I work with. That it's used for concrete work and that, or the joint.
Yep.
And then this track here is actually cut into the wall. I guess I can look up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it only sticks out about a ½ inch from the drywall. And it's always, I should say it's masonite. And that will be, there'll be flats on that. So that won't be a problem. They'll all be hidden. And then this is the other scenic area that I use the sedimentary rock.
That was the tile you broke in half, right?
No, this is the expansion, the joint material. It's a really dark brown, oil impregnated. They use it to put in concrete joints when they're pouring concrete.
Okay.
Expansion joint material, that's it. Oh, you know what? It changed on me a little bit and I didn't catch that. So this is basically just running, single track with passing sidings, and
Yard.
it's not too much industry up here. This is where the local will make its turn and go back to Gresham Yard. And cooling tower for the freight train, or the steam that need it, water tower. Then I'm not going to go down there. It's the upper deck is going to be where half the staging, the second half of staging will be placed. Those boxes had to be removed in that. And here's the main line coming around, and it's almost to staging now. So at this point, and there's some of that material we're talking about just now.
Okay.
That's comes, I think, 5 foot long, 5 inches by a ½ inch. I think it's about a ½ inch. So staging.
Andy,
Yes?
David, I got a question. Is that the stuff you put in the door jamb and broke off?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I actually like the concrete stuff better. So this is staging, and this is the other half of the, or the staging at the other end of the railroad. And the trains come in, they stay on this track right here, and they go all the way around, and they go in through the wall up there. You can see it, and then they come out back up there, and then they just come into one of the 10 tracks. And they stop right here, and that's it. They're done. Here's the car cards for those trains. The ones in backwards are trains have already run. Here's paperwork for the next train out, the dispatcher had written. And that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions?
The question, I think you just went by Madison down below. Is Madison just totally a branch line?
You know, it's a good point. I forgot about Madison. So Madison comes out of Gresham Yard right up here. It's a track against the fascia. So you just stay within yard limits the whole way.
Okay.
It's this track down here. Now you got 2 tracks, so you can get behind cars to push them. Do what you need to do. And then here's the industries at Madison.
Yeah.
The coal industry is not in Madison. That's a different level.
That's one of my favorite places there on your layout, because it's
Yeah,
it's a whole layout in itself. You can spend hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun, and you know, you come down here, you're by yourself, so you don't have to worry about getting anybody's way.
You got to get windows in that main building. I love that red building there.
Yeah, I do. I gotta get the roof on it.
Not like you don't have anything else to do.
Right. Yo, I was happy. John Young started taking buildings home painting, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
They're just in Madison here, South Nashville over there, and swing it over here, North Gresham over here. There's over 130 car spots just in these 3 areas.
Wow.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have 6 switchers. They work each location twice a day. So.
And what is your engine log and your car log at this point?
I'm sorry?
Your engine log and your car log, how many 1,000 cars do you have on the layout?
Oh, I've got 1,300 cars.
Yeah.
And engines, I really have no idea.
But that was the other thing. Is it mainly diesels you're running, or because you used to run more steam, but is it with
steam? We run steam on the main line basically, and if it's a long train, we run two locomotives with 2 crews, If it's a shorter train, then, just one locomotive.
Yeah, and
But
then the other thing was that the big turntable at the end, I think Fran had said that you'd done a lot of work around that on the scenery part of it, or
Yeah, it's right behind me here. Yeah, it still needs more scenery.
Yeah,
It needs,
okay.
ballasting, needs the tracks really dirtied up, oily and that kind of stuff. But, this whole area's got to be completed yet.
Yeah.
But when we go to the 69 version, then it'll just basically be for holding diesels and that, along with the diesel shop on the other side. So,
Andy,
Oh,
you had any idea how many miles of track you have?
no, I sure don't. I know it's a lot. No, it's 9, or I should say 12 feet to the mile, or smile, they call it. And using that 12 feet to the mile, it's 90 something miles from staging to staging.
Is it 12 feet or is it 33 feet?
No, they call it smiles, scale miles,
33
it's not-
feet is N scale.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 12 feet is nowhere close to a mile, but just you
trying
gotta,
80, 80
you
feet
gotta
in
get
HO.
something. What's that?
I think it's somewhere around 80 feet in HO.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
probably would be.
33 feet's a mile on N scale.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I had to measure it out somehow, so I used the scale miles, or smiles they call it.
I was wrong. It's 60 and a half feet for an HO mile.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have any other questions before I turn this off?
How large of a crew do you need to get this thing fully running?
I usually like to have close to 20 people. And we haven't added the passenger operation yet. That will probably add 3-4 people, at least 2 in the passenger station, and then the additional crews for the passenger trains. But I'm going to well, you know what? I'm not videotaping this. Terry is, so I'm going to walk on back over to the room, Terry.
Can you show the your entrance area and the crew lounge area?
Yeah, I did show that. There's not a whole lot to show.
Okay. The
What's
new
the matter?
floor there. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a new floor. Let me go under here. This is the workbench that, and it was set high so I can sit on a bar stool. And the new airbrush station that Craig made for us. Of course, I have been doing some track work. It's a real mess here, but I'll clean all this stuff up, and I've got to. Here's a track that or a switch that I built for replacement of the Atlas, and turned out I made a right when I needed a left, but I can use that somewhere down the line. So the dispatcher's office, again, I got junk sitting around, but we got our phone, we got the speaker. That is a really old speaker too.
Yeah, it is.
And this is the panel that the dispatcher uses to operate the signals. So if he wants to give someone a new order, he'll just like say at Adam, southbound at Adam, he'll give him a red. And when the train gets there, if he's paying attention, the signal's red, he's got to stop and call the dispatcher, and they'll tell him, okay, wait there, you'll be getting orders, and orders will be delivered. Terry, you got anything else?
No, not from me.
Okay. Well, I'll call it quits here as far as the run go, the video. Does anybody else have any questions?